She was Irish, elderly, and perhaps in the early stages of dementia. In Boston, she was accused of crimes so dark that the entire city turned against her. Who was Goody Glover, and why was she hanged for witchcraft in Boston? Hi, I'm Tamworth Grice, and welcome to my channel, the Tamworth Grice Files. Cases that are spooky, macabre, mysterious, supernatural, and just plain weird. And in each instance, I have a personal connection to the story. So be sure to stick around to the end to hear about that. Ann Glover was an Irish Catholic washerwoman and former indentured servant hanged in Boston for witchcraft in 1688. She had been born in Ireland and was transported to Barbados after Cromwell's invasion of Ireland and eventually wound up in Boston. You need to know that the Puritans in Massachusetts during this era even forbid the celebration of Christmas because it was considered idolatry. So as an Irish Catholic, Ann Glover didn't have a chance. During the investigation and trial, her answers could not be understood, and her accusers thought she was speaking a language of the devil. But she was talking in her native Irish because she barely spoke English, although she could understand it. She was unable to recite the Lord's Prayer in English, which was taken as a step of being in league with the devil, but she could recite it perfectly in Irish and fairly well in Latin. The Puritan Reverend Cotton Mather, one of the most infamous witch hunters of the era, wrote that Glover was obstinate in idolatry. At her house, investigators found small images that they took to be the Irish equivalent of voodoo dolls, but they were actually representations of saints. Playing with dolls, even by children, was sometimes viewed by Puritans with suspicion as potentially frivolous or sinful. Goody, which means Goodwife, Glover, told her accusers that she prayed to a host of spirits, again the Catholic saints. But her accusers assumed this meant demons, Satan, and other evil beings. She was found guilty and executed by hanging on November 16, 1688, at the gallows on Boston Commons amid mocking shouts from the crowd. It was the last witchcraft execution in Boston, but the Salem witch trials would take place 4 years later. Ann Glover is honored and remembered on that November day each year, which is proclaimed Goody Glover Day. Now, for my connection to the story, I mentioned poppets, which the Puritans of Massachusetts took to be voodoo dolls. At one point, when visiting a museum in New York City, in the gift shop, just for fun, I bought what was supposed to be an authentic Haitian voodoo doll. I took it home, put it on my shelf, and forgot about it. One day when a friend named Carol was visiting, she saw the voodoo doll, asked me about it, and I explained what it was. Later, Carol tried to fix me up with a friend of hers. His name was Stacy. It didn't work out, which didn't bother me much because he turned out to be a major cocaine user. But it bothered Carol because she'd gone to a lot of trouble to arrange the meeting and had spent a lot of time praising each of us to the other. She was furious at Stacy. The day after the failed hookup, Carol was at my place. She asked if I had any needles or pins. Thinking she needed to mend something, I brought out my sewing kit. She took the voodoo doll down from the shelf and began furiously stabbing at it with needles and pins, chanting, "Take this, you MFer, and this with each stab." I must confess that even though I really wasn't that disappointed in not getting together with cokehead Stacy, I joined in the fun. Okay, that's amusing enough. But the next day, we learned that Stacy had been in a major car accident. And at the very time, Carol, and I confess I, was stabbing my voodoo doll and chanting. Fortunately, Stacy had no permanent injuries, but that experience convinced me not to mess around with voodoo. By the way, I still have the doll. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story or found it compelling, I hope you'll please subscribe, like, sign up for notifications, and spread the word about this channel. Also, let me know in the comments if there are other cases you want me to explore. I love and appreciate you all for watching, and I hope you'll come back soon for the next episode of the Tamworth Grice Files. Thanks again. Bye.